What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review for episode 9 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Still no. Bruh. Araki, the god of suspense, has struck again. You guys know, I have mentioned this before countless times, like I did in part 4, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this for a handful of episodes of part 5. Araki is the modern day Hitchcock. Araki is the modern day god of suspense. This man is some of the most suspenseful moments in anime have usually come from JoJo, at least in recent memory, come from JoJo. Like, with Kira hiding out in part 4, I'm sure there was something in part 5 that I'm completely blanking on because of how long it's been, but here we are with this episode of part 6, where Araki turned a simple game of catch into a very suspenseful endeavor. And yeah, man, this was another banger episode. So without further ado, guys, let's just jump right in. So we start this off, I shit you not, with Father Fushi, where he is with this criminal, and she's basically asking father for, to help her out with getting an early parole. And you know what Father Fushi is doing? I shit you not, he's sucking on fucking cherries. Yes, you heard that right, Lito. He is sucking on cherries. Our first real introduction to this character, and Araki is out here doing callbacks to part 3. I am shocked he didn't go full cockyoing and just do like. I'm like, sure, this man so did that shit on purpose, man. I'm like, that is one power move from Araki. I'm out here gonna introduce the vague villain for part 6, and I'm gonna be doing fucking cockyoing callbacks. That's right, man. Araki something else, man. Araki something else, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so that aside. She's begging, so she's asking for him to help her get her up the road. This dude is going off about after he's done suck on the cherries. He pulls them out, and basically what he did was get the cherries out there, but kept the seeds attached to them. I think that's what he was trying to do. It looked like anyway. And so then this dude goes off about, like, oh, did you know that with enough training, I think he said, like, fucking dogs and parrots or some shit can learn how to use fire, appreciate art, read, apparently. I don't know how that's even remotely a thing, but whatever. I'll go with it. And he's like, if that's the case, what's the difference between them and animals? Between us and them? What's the difference between humans and animals? And he asked him, do you know the difference? He's like, yeah, of course. And she's like, but what does it have to do with my parole? So eventually, which, like I said, I mentioned my review for the last episode, I'll say again, Young is great, man. I'm really digging from what I'm hearing of him, man. It's good. It's just, it's still kind of crazy hearing one of my, a YouTuber that I grew up watching is voice acting the main villain in JoJo. I'm probably never going to get used to that, man, but hey, shout outs to him, man. Anyway, so, you have that. So eventually he says, yeah, I'll do what I can to help you out. And she's like, oh, really? Thank you, Father. And then this man grabs her head and then just thrusts this across the fucking, like, corners of, like, his desk or something. Blood is everywhere. And he says, your stealing ways can never have been undone, but you will prove useful, or something like those lines. And injects 2 CDs into her. We then head over back. We then are now in the, the gym area, I don't know what you call this place, the recreational area of the prison or whatever, and, everyone's outside, they're chilling, you got FF, of course, drinking her water, because of course she is, and you got Jolene, I think Hermes out there are playing catch. And so, Hermes is kind of like hesitant to learn when she finds that Jolie gave the disc to FF with Star Platinum on it, and is worried that she even knows where it is, and that's even smart, yada yada. She says it's fine, she's good. So then, as Jolene and FF are about to start playing catch, this random woman goes in there and steals FF's water. Which, as you guys know, is a very bad move. Very bad. And so she's just drinking it like nothing's happened. And then FF's like, hey, you fugly bitch, put that down! Like, you thought that she just, like, fucking insulted her sister or something. With how much, with the rage and vitriol she was coming at this woman, and the insults she was hurling. So she's like, what? I replenish my thirst and you hurl insults at me? So then, after all that, Then he like tells her to keep putting it down, put it down, put it down. And of course, and Jolene is trying to calm her down, like, just don't worry about it. We'll get you more water. Don't make a scene. And you want to know what this woman does? Just to spite her, she just starts chugging the water. No longer using the straw, just chugging it from the glass. This obviously enraged her. And this is where we find out that basically FF is a repurposed Sex Pistols. That's literally what she is. She is a repurposed Mista because she points her fingers at her like a finger gun and fires through like projectile gooey things into her mouth, which like fully enlarges her mouth, look like a goddamn pufferfish. And then blood starts coming out. I'm thinking her head's gonna fucking explode, but what's not happening is she just ends up spitting out the water, and it looks like she threw up and put more in there as well. I don't know where the rest of that water came from. I'd rather not know. But then FF grabs her cup. She's like, ooh, there's more in there. There's more than there last time. Lucky me. And then she just starts happily drinking it, man. Like it's fucking nothing, man. Anyway, so as they're playing cats, they're trying to tell FF how to do it, and like her positioning is trying to like just look absolutely ridiculous. So then Mira's show, who we saw at the start of the episode, comes back, but this time her hair is designed a little different, and I like the way it looked. It kind of looked like her hair was designed like a cage, almost a cage around her face, kind of thing. I don't know. It looked really cool. I dug it. But anyway, and FF mentions that they've done it like 87 times or whatever, and that let's see if we can get to 100. So the mirror says, $100 says you can't do it. So then we learn more from Hermes that she is a serial gambler, and she basically got in here just from constantly betting and all that other shit, other shit. She's definitely someone with a gambling problem. She's the type of person you would not want to see playing a gacha game, because then she will go into a massive debt trying to pull them characters. But anyway, so she says that, and then they just have some ground rules. Jolene is a little bit hesitant at first, for obvious reasons. This sounds very sketchy. But Hermes manages to convince her, and they eventually go at it. They set some ground rules where that they only got 10 seconds to throw that they only got 10 seconds in between each other to throw the ball, and that they have to stay within like 3 meters or something is like the farthest distance that they can go, or that's how close they can be or something. So they start doing it. They got her, but then Mira's show decides just to sit on the bench, which is like maybe a foot away from FF's water cup. And of course, FF is screaming, raging, telling her to get her grumpy hands off her cup and to get away from her water. She's hooping, she's screaming, hollering, and all that shit. And eventually she's like, fine. And so then also Hermes also grabs, goes like, hey, I'll take care of your cup. Just throw the damn ball. And she's like, 5 seconds or something. So then she throws the ball, but she ends up throwing it near the bench. Because of course she does. So Jolene then just dives in there for it, and she ends up managing to hit it looks like she hit the bench. It looked like we couldn't really get a good look, but it looks like she hit the bench, but managed to catch the ball. They kept going, and then they eventually hit 100, and they all, but also throughout this episode, whenever someone would accept one of her bets, this cashier opening sound effect would play, which I liked. I thought that was a nice little touch for the episode. But anyway, so they agree, and they're like, all right, do hack off money. And then Jolene's like, wait, you also made a bet with FF, so shouldn't that be 200? And then Herman's like, yeah, 200, give it here. And so then she says, Grant says you can't do it again, because of course FF said, with how it's going, I could do 100 more times. Wouldn't be nothing, because of course she had to open her mouth. Seriously, FF was talking so much unnecessary shit this episode. This woman should have just kept her goddamn mouth shut. Anyway, besides this woman talking way too damn much, they keep going at it, and then they eventually decide, fine. Jolene, she doesn't want to part, but Hermes decides, fuck it, I'll take you up on that bet. As my fucking chopsticks fall. Anyway, so Hermes decides to join the bet anyway. So, to do the bet. So she switches places with Jolene, they go at it, eventually it becomes sunset. And they keep going out. Then one of the guards grabs Hermes's hand, and that's when we found that their exercise time is now done, and they need to get back inside. So obviously the guard is guard and Hermes are like arguing with one another, and then eventually she ends up bribing the guard, giving him like $100 to be like, hey, give us just 3 minutes, and it's just 2 minutes, he's gonna make us round to that. Seriously, these have to be some of the most corrupt prison guards I've ever seen in a fucking anime when they can be this easily bought off. Like I don't even think the cops in Gotham City are this fucking corrupt. But anyway, Anyway, so but then we find out because of Rocky gotta add more fuel to this fire and make you more on the edge of your seat. He ends up saying, "Oh, but only $100 can only go so far, so I'm taking the glove." And while he's doing this, FF has already thrown the ball and is slowly coming over to Hermes to grab it. So the guard rips off the glove, takes away, and then Hermes tries to catch it with just her hand, and she ends up she's like missing it and kind of like kind of gets out of her hands. It's flying up there, and it looks like a lot of this is in slow motion too, which looked really cool. And it looks like Hermes isn't gonna make it; she's gonna fall. But she ends up diving for it and using one of the stickers because she also stuck some gum onto the ball. And uses the sticker, rips it off, and then the gum that's in her mouth and the gum on the ball come together, and obviously she's able to grab it. So she's able to save herself and manage just to catch it at the very last possible second. Anyway, so as they continue on, she goes on about how she's just a spectator, yada yada yada, and will not move from the spot. We then this figure shows, which is obviously a stand, her stand. Now, the interesting thing about this stand is, first off, it's called the Collector. I love its design. I love how it works, and it fits perfectly with her character. Even though these isn't technically her actual stand because this is from the CDs and everything, so it's not like she got hit with a stand, or this is just her natural ability and all that shit. But regardless, it still works, and I'm pretty sure Rocky was like, the CDs or whatever, they just all happen to fit all these characters' personality traits or whatever. Either way, I love the stand. I loved how much it kind of goes with Marishow's character from what we seen it in this episode. But anyway, as I was saying, so we get to find out the stand, and we see the stand name and everything, and we find out that it's called Marilyn Manson. So you can obviously guess who the stand is based off of in the original Japanese. Now, the interesting thing, and this is and the funny thing is about this stand, and just how clever either Viz or, like I said, whoever was in charge of coming up with a localized name for all the stands to obviously get around the music references and everything, is that it's actually pronounced Mary Lynn Manson, all three separate words rather than not just two words, which I thought, clever girl. Because that's I feel it's the cleverest way to get around the localized copyright problems, while you could basically are still saying the actual stand's name by just technically writing in print that it's three separate words, not his actual name, which I thought that was extremely. Which also, once again, which at first I'm sure, which even though only the first one they really emphasized as Mary Lynn Manson, after that everyone just calls it Marilyn Manson, probably because it was easier. But I can imagine Kira was probably doing a light victory lap around the recording. And she was like, "Yes, finally, I get to say the original name for at least one of the stands." I'm sure she was happy when she didn't have to completely change the name of it. But then, if Viz or whoever is this clever with the stand names and trying to getting around the copyright things and just calling it Mary Lynn Manson instead of Marilyn Manson, once again I bring up, why didn't they just call Sex Pistols Six Pistols? All you had to do is switch one letter and rather go with six bullets. I mean, yeah, it works, but I would have just called it Six Pistols if I couldn't call it Sex Pistols, But anyway, I thought that was really clever, and hey, you get, at least for one of the stands, for us here, the dub, watch the show dub, we get to at least hear one of the original stand names. We at least get to keep one of them, technically. But anyway, so the stand comes up, and it says, and we find out that actually Hermes did break one of the rules of the bet. If I had to guess, I'm assuming the ball did actually hit the ground, and she didn't make it in time. I would assume, because I can't really think of any other rules from the bet that she could have possibly broken. Anyway, so the stand comes out there, and first thing it does, obviously, goes to collect the money. The Collector, it's called. And so first off, it rips out the money that she actually had surgically implanted into her implants, which I was actually shocked to see the money was still there, because I thought she would have already used it by now or some other shit. I didn't know she still had it there just chilling, but she did. So that gets ripped out. Then Marilyn Manson decides to go full-on Mortal Kombat style and just goes right through her and rips out her liver, which honestly, at first, I thought it was her heart. I thought she ripped out her heart because the shape was a little bit similar, but it was her liver. So when we get back, she's obviously beaten, and then the Collector goes on, or Marilyn Manson rather, goes on about sell this off in the black market, takes care of the rest of the money. So then Jolene basically tags herself in, and now she's the one that continues the bet. Now from here we basically keep going on. She starts to Marishow starts to kind of go back inside, so they obviously start to give chase around her. And as they're chasing after her, they're still continuing playing tag with FF. So as they're going on, they keep going in there, going through like the shower, trying to figure out where she is. And as Jolene is about to throw it, Mara show because of course it wasn't hard enough. You got to make it even more suspenseful. You gotta make it a little bit. You gotta keep the audience a little bit more on the edge of their seat. She turns off the lights while like in the midst of Jolene making her throw. So obviously it's dark. They can't see shit. And then Jolene just tells FF to just stay there, it'll probably hit your butt, which ends up hitting her right in the head, but luckily she was able to catch it. And then Jolene says, okay, great, now show it here. And she's like, here? Where the hell is here? I can't see shit. So, as she's trying to look around, I don't know what she saw, or I think she heard something or whatever, but FF starts firing off for like projectiles, but I don't know if this thing has an official name yet. But firing off, and it ends up hitting her in her arm, and while she's opening the door till they actually have some light source in there, and she's like, ah! And so she starts running away, they give chase, and they finally corner her in this hall, at the end of this hallway thing. So Jolene uses Stone Ocean to punch her, and then it thinks like we're at the end of it. But then she pulls out another Uno reversal card where we find out where Jolene is sitting is actually an elevator, an elevator they use to transport food. So at the last, FF has the ball at this current moment. So the elevator closes up and it starts going up. FF quickly tries to like bust the elevator open again. What she does, she manages just barely with enough time, throws the ball, and Jolene manages to catch it. So then they go up to like I guess the next floor or whatever. Once they finally reach the next floor, she tosses it to FF. But right as FF is about to catch it, the guard comes in there. The one that Hermes paid off early in the episode comes in there and grabs the ball and pockets it. Because of course Marisho paid off the guard to take the ball. Of course she did. Fucking madness, man. So then, of course, Marisho starts talking her mad shit. Like every JoJo, she starts talking her shit like, haha, you're done now, Jolene, you're going to die, blah, 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 blah. Like any JoJo film, they always think they've won when they really haven't. They just start talking shit. But anyway, so then Marilyn Manson comes in there and takes her most important organ. We never figure out, they never show us which organ it is, but judging from the fact that Hermes lost her liver, I would assume it was hers too. I don't know. Maybe she took her heart. I don't fucking know. I'm not a biologist. Or maybe it was her uterus, because he said the most important organ. I don't know, because she's a woman, maybe it's like her, I don't know, her uterus or something, or her like womb. I don't fucking know. I'm just speculating at this point. Those probably aren't even organs anyway. Like I said, I'm not a biologist. And I'm a man. But anyway, so as that's going on there, he also takes Jotaro's stand CD, which we find out we actually found that actually FF is actually keeping it behind her back with like these two hands holding the CD. So grabs that, but then Jolene throws the ball using her thread at Marisho, and then of course her theme starts playing. She's like, yeah. And we find out that she never said that the game is far from over, and that she never specified who she's playing with. The guard counts too, which Marilyn Manson actually accepts and returns all the organs and drops the CD. So now she's like, was it 800 or was it 900? You know what? Screw it. Take 1,000 and just uses Stone Ocean to just rapidly throw the baseball right at her using like her threads, which I'm sure had to suck because I'm pretty sure baseballs are somewhat heavy balls if I remember correctly, or maybe they're softballs. I don't know. But either way, she just starts rapidly throwing the baseball at her, and basically after that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the episode ends. She says she's gonna get after find Pale Snake and get him. So that's basically where the episode ends. Phenomenal episode, man. Like I said, this was Rocky once again proves why he's the modern day god of suspense, the modern day Alfred Hitchcock when it comes to it. Seriously, this episode would bring a tear to the eye of Alfred Hitchcock, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, phenomenal episode. Looking forward to watching the next one. And yeah, man, overall, I'm going to give this episode a 10 out of fucking 10, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. If you like it, links down in the description box below. And as always, come out for more. See you guys next time. She's